A beautiful house with a kitchen. A woman with a monstrous face is preparing to roast a bunch of eggs and bacon. They all cry out for help, but the woman puts them all in the pan and dips them in oil. Suddenly, a hero appears at the window in the kitchen, the avenging egg, Toto. He comes at her at hypersonic speed and punches the old woman, knocking her out. However, the eggs are still roasting in the pan and are screaming for help. The superhero uses his cold breath to chill the pan and then escorts everyone safely away. Later, Toto and his new friends team up to save other eggs in danger. They go to a park and see an egg called Key being thrown by a boy. Luckily, the superhero manages to catch it in the air just in time. The group goes on exploring the park, and they suddenly encounter a juggler who does tricks with an egg named Bai. He throws her up, but as he is about to catch her, the man steps on a bottle and falls to the ground. Bai is on the verge of crashing, but Toto's friend Willie arrives with his magic broom in time to save her. Once the group has been formed, the eggs and bacon decide to make a team of superheroes, the League of Avenging Eggs. Key has invented everything to impress the little eggs in a henhouse, and the whole incredible story is told. Key goes on to say that after this, the hero Toto transformed from an egg to a powerful rooster, but seconds later he appears to be just a simple chicken. At night the children sleep and the group of friends bids goodbye. But first, a beautiful hen called Dee catches the chicken's eye. The two walk by a pond alone, but a restless frog gets in the way. They go to find somewhere more comfortable, but then Dee's father, Don Alfonso, appears. He begins to speak about his career as a boxer, but this brings to mind the fight that will be held tonight and Toto leaves. Minutes later, he meets the grandson of the farm's owners, and the two of them listen to the fight together on the radio. At that moment in the ring, the fight between the champion, Vinny Void, and the challenger, a yellow-breasted chicken, is about to begin. The battle begins and the champion begins to throw a lot of punches and jabs at his opponent, who doesn't react. In the midst of the blows he receives, the chicken still manages to punch the champion in the face, who falls back. However, the blow has little effect on him, and Vinny Void jumps towards his opponent and knocks him down with a double punch. Thanks to this blow, the champion wins the fight by knockout, and according to the rules, his owner receives the loser's farm as a prize. The next morning, Toto picks up the daily newspaper, which shows Vinny Void's victory. Shortly afterwards, Don Alfonso appears and tells the chicken that today is the day he should practice his crowing. He takes Toto to the top of the barn and tells him to sing, but his voice is so bad that it makes all the animals on the farm and even on the neighboring farms uncomfortable. To make matters worse, a few minutes later, Granny, who owns the farm, puts up a for sale sign because she can't pay off the debts. After this news, the animals get together to come up with a plan to save their home. Don Alfonso talks about his idea of returning to the ring and, with the prize money, paying off the farm's debts. Everyone agrees with the plan, but to make it work, they need to go to the big city. Just then, they hear the letter carrier arriving at the farm on a motorcycle. The group seizes this opportunity, takes his motorcycle, and heads for the city. Hours later, when they get there, they finally find the fighting ring. However, before the fights can begin, they have to find the Godfather Egg, the person responsible for placing the bets. While they wait for him, Toto starts to explore the place and sees a fight between two challengers. One of the fighters is a huge, muscular chicken, and the other is a fighting master. Despite his size and strength, the muscular chicken is very slow, and his opponent manages to dodge his blows easily. The master then uses his spinning kicks to hit his rival, who is finally knocked out. After this fight, the Egg Godfather finally calls the group into his living room. There, Don Alfonso asks to fight again and makes a bet. If he wins, he'll get the prize money to save the farm, but if he loses, his farm will be given as payment. Even so, the Godfather is not satisfied with the bet and sends the group away. But the rooster calls him to talk in private. While they talk, the group goes back to the club, where they meet a beautiful chicken called Sweet Pea, who is giving a musical performance. Toto falls in love with her and calls her to talk, but this makes Dee jealous, and she goes after the chicken's moments. Later, the champion by Void shows up and reveals that he is Sweet Pea's boyfriend. He is angry with Toto. The Egg Father then comes in and tells them that he has accepted Don Alfonso's proposal, but that he will not fight. Toto will. Everyone is surprised, even the chicken himself, but he takes the challenge and will have to battle the champion by Void. After a few hours, the group gets together on the road in the middle of a forest to discuss the training of the chicken. Don Alfonso explains that he was a great fighter until one day he met a a fighter who defeated him easily. The problem was that the fighter wasn't a rooster but a duck in disguise, which made everyone make fun of him. From that day he stopped fighting, but now his aim is to find the duck that beat him so that he can train Toto. The group then goes through the forest and discovers a grove where some ducks are living. Minutes later, there, they look for the fighting duck, but there's no sign of him. Rather, the ducks challenge Toto to a rap battle, but he is unable to rhyme and begins to get booed. Don Alfonso then requests that they bring in a duck for a true fight. After a few seconds, a fighting duck emerges from the leaves and starts doing different blows to show his skills. The duck shows off and then tries to attack Toto, but the rooster somehow manages to avoid the attack and the duck smashes into a rock. The chicken is happy about his win, but the duck soon gets up and punches him in the face, making him fly. Toto is bruised and battered, but a tattooed egg, called the duck, seems to communicate with the group. He says that the duck they are looking for was his father, but he ended up being killed by a crocodile. Luckily, he knows about his father's training and agrees to train Toto. The first teaching he gives is that the chicken needs to have faith in himself and exercise his body and mind to the fullest. The next morning, it's hard training time. Toto is required to lift weights, run races with his friends, jump rope, and train his punching power. The first few lessons of his training are not the best, but as he gets more committed, Toto gets stronger and more agile. At the end of the afternoon, the duck egg undergoes a new type of training, acquiring the skills that only ducks can do, namely flying and swimming. For the first stage, Toto needs to fly like various types of birds, and to do this, he needs to jump from the top of the barn and flap his wings. But the chicken attempts to do so and fails to do so repeatedly, falling on his face. The second training session is conducted in the farm pond where Toto needs to learn how to swim. Again, the outcome is not up to scratch. Days go by, and the rooster still can neither fly nor swim. But one morning, when Toto was to resume his flying lessons, Alfonso pushes him off the top of the barn. Everyone was expecting him to fall to the ground again, but to everyone's surprise, the rooster finally manages to fly. They still practice the training and Toto learns to fly in various ways. The next day, the mailman comes to the farm and tells the owner that a fight is going to break out. She reads an ad in the paper and finds out the whole truth. Her house will be the prize of the fight, and she's even more concerned. Meanwhile, Toto and his friends go to a mountainous area. There, his master gives him another training, this time in agility. Then, a number of ducks suddenly attack the chicken. Fortunately, he manages to avoid them all with his jumps and pirouettes, and everyone realizes that duck's training is efficient. His friends are happy with the chicken's act and don't know that a vulture is nearby and is going away. The bird shows up hours later in a warehouse where Sweet Pea is waiting for him. He tells her that Toto is being trained differently, and she is afraid that he might have a chance of winning. Then she formulates a strategy to attack his farm. Toto is pretty much set for the big fight, except that he hasn't yet discovered his most powerful move. Duck and Don Alfonso think that his power is in him and they ask him to let it out in his singing. The chicken attempts to sing again, but his singing is still bad. Everyone is concerned about this, but she shows up and tells everyone to leave him alone. She bids him goodbye and shortly thereafter, Toto returns to training. The next morning, the chicken wakes up from a nightmare in which he is shamefully defeated by Void. The owner of the farm tries to soothe him, but he doesn't think he will win and he runs away. Later, his friends find him in the mountains. They try to calm their friend down once again, but just then, a group of vultures appears on the scene. Worse, another flock of birds attacks the farm and begins to steal the chicken. The guard dog attempts to keep them safe, but he can't and one of them takes Toto's mom. In the meantime, Willie decides to do something to motivate Toto. He jumps on his friend's neck and they both fall off the mountain. The chicken is forced to flap his wings and eventually, with much persistence, he is able to fly. Then the two go back to the farm where their gang of friends has returned to assist the other animals. They know that Toto's mother has been taken prisoner by one of the vultures and the chicken goes off to rescue her. He attacks the bird, which drops its mother to the ground, but Toto manages to catch her. After that, the chicken flies towards the vultures, and Willie jumps onto one of them. The egg pulls out the animal's feathers, causing him to collide with another of the gang. But both recover and they collide with Toto, and he and Willie begin to fall. Fortunately, Bib flies in on a duck and saves her boyfriend, and Duck flies in on another duck and manages to catch Toto. Soon afterwards, the master slaps his apprentice to make him wake up. Toto comes to life and with the other ducks, decides to tempt the vultures to the mountains. There, they fly quickly and dodge the numerous rocks there. Some of the vultures collide with the stones, but others in the flock manage to avoid them and even get hold of the ducks and hurl them against the stone. The situation becomes more complicated and the leader of the vultures catches Toto with his feet and throws him towards a rock. Fortunately, the chicken evades and keeps on flying fast. The vultures continue to chase him, and they head towards a cave. A small door is in front of them, and Toto has an idea. He instructs all the ducks to stand in a row behind him and fly up and down through the hole. This helps the rooster and his duck pals make it across the exit safely. The vultures are flying behind them, and when they realize that the exit is too small, they attempt to slow down, but it's too late. They run into the passage and shed their feathers, falling over the cliff. Despite this, the head of the flock is able to pull up short, and minutes later, Toto and the ducks are back at the farm, where the chickens seem to be safe and sound. The chicken is now even more determined than ever to take on Banky Void. He and his friends gather and fly towards the ring where the big fight is about to commence. Later, in the ring, several challengers battle one another. Kung Fu fighters, karate masters, and boxers fight in intense duels to see who is the best. Don Alfonso is training in his dressing room while the fights are going on, but to his surprise, Toto appears to fight. The chicken then joins Master Doug and heads to the ring where the champion awaits. The referee calls the names of the participants and their owners in the ring. Both fighters are wearing gloves and mouthguards and are facing each other before the bell rings. The signal is finally given and the fight starts. Without wasting any time, the champion lands a powerful punch on Toto, who is thrown into the wall and falls to the ground in bewilderment. The referee begins counting, but the chicken gets up and fights on. Then Void runs to him, but Toto is scared and begins to run away. The judge is now ready to blow the whistle, as if the rooster keeps running, he will be a loser by forfeit, like Don Alfonso. When he realizes that he could lose everything if he keeps running, Toto stops running and tries to defend himself, but is hit by another punch from the champion and is thrown into the wall. When Duck sees his apprentice is in trouble, he tells him that he should remember all the things he had to do when he was training, and let his body do what it wants to do. Toto decides to follow this advice and gets up once again. Then Void rushes towards the rooster and is about to throw more punches, but at that moment, Toto dodges all of them and goes backward, causing the champion to crash into the wall. The rooster gets better and throws a few more punches at him, but Toto recalls his flying training and uses the skills he has learned to avoid all of the punches. This makes the champion dizzy, and when the opportunity comes, the rooster punches him right in the beak, leaving him bewildered. After a few seconds, the bell goes off for the first round, and all are amazed at Toto's stamina and technique. The second round starts a few minutes later, and Void comes back with blood in his eyes. He hits the chicken with a heavy blow and it drops to the ground, and the referee starts counting again. However, Toto has no intention of giving up. The battle rages on and the two players keep on striking and defending. The rounds go by and what seemed like a sure victory for the champion turns into one of the longest and most challenging fights in the ring's history. This makes the crowd go into a frenzy and everyone begins to cheer for Toto. Thanks to his persistence, the two fighters become more and more exhausted, and another round comes to an end. While resting, Toto hears Doug say that Void hasn't used his best moves yet. This information is worrisome to him, but the rooster will fight till the end. The bell rings for another round and Void runs to the chicken and strikes him with his strongest blow. He jumps on Toto and throws a double punch that shakes the ground. However, when the sand subsides, the champion realizes that his blow hadn't hit him. Rather, the chicken employed his flying maneuver to evade the attack, causing the fans to go crazy. Void is desperate to continue punching Toto, but Toto is able to evade all his punches and retaliates with sharp abdominal punches. The champion begins to stagger, but in a dirty tactic, he throws dirt in the chicken's eyes and punches him in the face. The blow causes Toto to fall to the ground. Void steps on him to stop him getting up. The referee starts the count, but Toto gets up again, even though he's exhausted. The rooster starts his series of punches, but the chicken has anticipated his attack and pushes him and punches him, taking the rooster's lip protector. Suddenly, the bell goes again, and the final round of the fight begins. Once the referee gives the signal to start the fight, Void delivers a few strikes to Toto but is too exhausted to fight on. The chicken then takes his opportunity and punches the strongest punch. Unfortunately, the champion isn't knocked down, and Toto realizes that he still hasn't found his inner strength. All his friends tell him to crow like a real rooster. Then, Toto suddenly stops and thinks about why he is fighting. Memories of the farm and his friends start to come to him, and he realizes the significance of this battle and the need to save his home and his loved ones. Now aware of what he needs to do, Toto goes on the attack and punches Void, who tries to hit back, but the chicken dodges and counterattacks non-stop. He is now being backed by the fans, but the round is coming to a close. Void then attempts to strike again, but Toto is able to block the attack with his wings. Lastly, the rooster lets out all the energy he has stored in his chest, and with a series of punches and a strong uppercut, he strikes the last blow with a crow worthy of a rooster. Thanks to this, Bavoid falls to the ground unconscious, and the referee starts the count. Despite trying one last effort, the champion falls to the ground, and Toto is the winner of the fight. All the fans and his friends from the farm who heard it all on the radio are celebrating this amazing win. Don Alfonso goes up to Toto and congratulates him, followed by Dee. Toto finally declares his feelings to her, and the two kiss. Suddenly, Bavoid comes up to the couple, and instead of attacking his opponent, he congratulates him on the fight. Shortly after, the owner shoots the man and tells him that he will not lose the farm, but to everyone's surprise, Grandma comes up with her handbag and slaps the man in the head, and the man is arrested and put in jail. The next day, the Roosters take the money they won in the bet and discover that, from the beginning, the Big Chicken had been betting on Toto's victory. It is also revealed that the Vulture's invasion of the farm was a plan by Sweet Pea to ensure Bavoid's victory. He discovers this, and the champion is insulted by his girlfriend's attitude and sends her away. After all is settled, everyone has a big party at the farm, where all debts have been paid off thanks to Toto. Then, the chicken joins his friends at the top of the barn and, with his inner strength, he blows out his song for all to hear and thus becomes a real rooster. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.